Destination Newry, the morning programme, 9:30. We have an hour to go in part. We have two major things in that time, well, three major things. We have Peter Maxwell of the Newry and Portadown branch of the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland. You're very welcome.
Thanks,
and
Rob.
then later at 9:45, we have got Mr. Hughes, we have Mr. John Hughes of the Newry and Mourne Business Networking Group. And then a major interview at 10:00 with Canon Kearney, who brings humanity to his priesthood. And there are an awful lot of priests out there that I know of who would do well to learn at his very wonderful knee, to just be aware. But anyway, that's for me to say and not for you to say.
No,
So listen,
I keep out with that
what's the Locks Agency doing to you at the moment? What's the story?
Well, as you know, we're working on the first lock up, Riley's lock.
Yes.
Number 2 lock, it's called. And we have to remove some silt from immediately below the gates.
Yes, yeah.
So doing things properly, we applied to the Locks Agency on
Oh,
the
yeah.
17th of September for a permit.
Yeah.
And heard nothing, not even an acknowledgement of receipt.
Oh,
So I emailed them on the 1st of October and got a reply on the 3rd saying it was awaiting a signature. And heard nothing until the 20th, which is Monday
Yeah.
just gone.
yeah.
And I received the said permit by email.
Uh-huh.
And the work had to be carried out within the dates of the 4th of October to the 11th of October. And it was under no circumstances was work to take place before or after those dates. And they sent that to me on the 20th.
Can you hold your breath for 1 minute? Just for 1 minute, please. Locks Agency, how dare you? He's not going to say it to you, but I am, because I've been around the canal for 50 years. I was there when you weren't there. How dare you send that kind of restriction to these people who are out there working their fingers to the bone on a constant basis? So Locks Agency, get the act together and work with these people. Don't work to impede what they're doing, because we need them to keep doing what they're doing. Sorry, Peter, I beg your
That's
pardon.
all right, Rowan. You can have your little spout. But to add insult to injury, I mean, all right, they sent it out 16 days late. It was outside the time period. They then suggested that if we wanted to revise the dates, to let them know by return, and they would do that. Now, I then have since discovered it was signed on the 3rd, and it has sat on somebody's desk since the 3rd of October.
I get this impression that people in Locks Agencies, who can go out in their big vans and with their boats and go off for a day, that time becomes capable of folding away into some kind of enormous nothingness, that you don't have to sort of clock on in the morning. Let's clock them on in the morning and clock them out in the evening and find out what proportion of the time is being spent out on projects, filling out a form of what you do on the projects, and then finding out where the administrative work is. It's much too easy to faff it, and you shouldn't be faffing it.
You maybe know more about it than I do, Rowan. I can't pass any comments
It
except
wouldn't
the
be
dealings
wise
we've
for
had.
you. You need to please castigate me now. In
No,
your own
I'm not going to
interest, you
castigate
should.
you, but
You should, because keep in with it.
What I will tell you,
so-and-sos.
I've got to get this straight now. This is not the local branches of the Locks Agency.
Right. Who's doing this?
This is up in Derry. That's where you have to apply to for a permit. It's up in Derry.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
You see, so well, I mean, it's fair enough. They have the
They're still
that's
there
where
on
the
the
head
road.
office is.
They're
you
still
know.
there on the road in, almost opposite the hotel on the way into Derry.
I've never been
I've
up
been,
to
I've
the
been in
place
it
at all.
once.
Right.
I've been in it once. So Locks Agency in Derry, you know, we're alive down here and we want to get things done.
Yeah,
So-
but the other thing is that we're volunteers.
Yep.
To give us a 1 week window, 1 day in advance, is totally useless.
Yeah.
We have to organise the council, we have to organise safety gear, we have to organise the digger, we have to organise equipment to stop the canal from being polluted.
Lock Agency,
No, I
you
mean-
are not nice professional people. That's evidential. And I'm not going to leave you alone on this, because there are 70 or 80 people involved in this, giving up their own time and going and doing it. So please get your act together and work to help these folk.
Well, I'm glad you said that, not me. I would like them to work more with us, but I'm not going to castigate them as much as you would.
Well,
because
why
we do
wouldn't I
have to work.
castigate? Who do they
Well-
think they are?
Well,
I can
we
castigate
have
them
to
because
work
I
with it.
founded the Newry Canal Preservation Society with John Donnelly. There would have been no canal there today if Donnelly and I hadn't taken action there. There would have been no canal development today but for these people.
Well,
So that's
true,
why
yes.
I can castigate.
Yes.
And I will continue to so do. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, I'd just like them to work a bit more with us. That's really all. It's only a matter of telephoning to clarify
communication
matters towards us. I mean, to come back to us.
It's actually the same in broadcasting. Sometimes all I need is a telephone call to say to me something isn't right. Don't go with that today. Leave it till tomorrow. But when people don't talk, you've got issues.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll go on
you
to
have a new book.
things.
You have a lovely new book.
This year's the 60th anniversary of the founding of the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland. It was originally founded to stop low-level bridges being built over the Shannon.
Wow.
And as a result, of course, we've been able to keep the cruisers going and the hire business and everything down on the Shannon. So this book is a history of the association. It has some interesting articles. It was edited by and compiled by Brian Castles.
Oh, yes.
Who signed the front of that book.
I don't want his signature. If you're giving this to me, I want your signature on it.
No.
Dad was a Commodore of the rally in 1969. Mum recalls helping out with the first night rally event with her first child, Connor. Exactly a month old that night, he was in her arms. This was the start of the next generation of Maher's life on the Shannon. That's lovely.
Yes,
That's nice.
it has information on a lot of old characters.
Yes.
Who helped save the waterways. They're not as such local characters like we would have along our canal, like the Waddles and so on. But I mean, it is to people who are interested in the association and in the saving of the canals and all the waterways. It's a great deal of interest.
I open an African proverb: when an old person dies, a library is burned.
That's right. That's right.
It makes a lot of sense.
Oh yes, you must get this sort of information down. And Brian Castles himself gathered up a lot of this in the past.
Yeah.
And then they got the branches, ourselves included, did bits on. Well, obviously our history as a branch doesn't go back very far.
No, but I mean,
some of the other ones go back for a long way.
But you're making a difference, because Dolly and I would never have thought we would ever see the time when we would have boats tied up at the Albert Basin.
Yes.
We never thought we would see the time that there would be again 4 miles of waterway, which by next summer we should be able to row on.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
That depends on the Environment Agency.
Absolutely.
I have a meeting with them next Wednesday.
Well, sure, you tell them about me. Tell them what they're going to get.
Well, anyway, Rowan, the book here, this copy of it, which is signed by Brian Castles, the editor, and we want to present this to you. You know? Oh, no, I'm not going to sign this. No.
Well, I will not accept it from Brian. I want the local. We'll do this. This is business to be done later.
Yes,
it's a lovely book.
I won't sign it online because
it's a lovely book.
My writing's atrocious anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody might see it.
60 years old this year, the first meeting of the IWAI, the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland, 1954, attracted 200 like-minded people who had the foresight to come together with a shared aim of promoting traffic on the rivers and canals, opposing any obstructions, and campaigning for the preservation of a working navigation.
Yes.
That's lovely. Is Dick Warner still with us?
Oh, he's still about, yes.
Give him my regards when you see him.
Yes, I haven't seen him recently.
Yeah, Dick is the broadcaster who does wonderful things on the waterways.
He's doing a programme on the coasts at the moment.
Coasts
of Ireland.
Excellent.
Yes.
Dick produced my first ever radio documentary.
Yes, I think.
Which was called Pilots, Lighters and Horse-Drawn Ships. And I remember it well because my daughter Anne-Marie, who was only that size, she played the musical interludes on her violin. And Dick made the whole thing so very easy. And Dick, we greet you this morning and remembering old times and remembering your wonderment and your childish attitude and imagination and your excitement with beautiful things of nature. We're blessed to have you as part of what we try to do.
Oh, certainly we are.
Yes. So this is the bit that you sit in the armchair to read at night when you come home.
Yes.
By the way, I see it's very well done.
Oh,
it's actually properly bound.
Yes.
It's not just stuck.
Unfortunately in China.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's where we have to go.
It is, yes.
I have my book sitting there to publish, and there are many reasons why I can't print it in the UK.
Yeah.
Many reasons.
Yeah. Oh, I know you've mentioned them.
And they're of very great significance, but in China, it might be the way to do it, it could be it. And all you need to do is to send the PDF.
That's right.
And press a button and go, Yeah. I will find out about that. Yeah. So where are we going? What have you been doing since I saw you on the waterway?
You were mentioning the Albert Basin earlier.
Yes, it was.
As I drove up from Omeath yesterday, I counted 22 vessels in the Albert Basin. That's the most I think we've had in for a winter ever.
Absolutely.
I was at a meeting yesterday of a subcommittee of the council.
Yes.
To decide on what to do with the Middle Bank. Yeah. Well, no, looking for ideas. It's not a decision because there's no funding available. And they keep referring to it as the Albert Basin development, and it's to a certain extent it is.
Yeah.
You'll see my point about this in a second. It was made quite plain to us at the meeting that the current council, have basically said it's to be used for recreation, social purposes, and that's fair enough, you know. Though it is zoned as development land under the planning laws at the moment.
Well, I think if the right man comes along with a big enough wallet, it will suddenly become development land.
Well, that's the big problem you see. Now, this was made quite plain to us that once the councils amalgamate,
Yep.
the council of elected members are free to make any decision they wish. And that's fair enough. That's what councils are for.
That's what they're for.
They can't be tied by a previous council.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a risk that the whole site could actually be sold.
Oh, yes,
Now,
absolutely.
but this is where I'm coming about the Albert Basin. People say the Albert Basin's going to get sold. Now, the Albert Basin is not going to get sold. The land around it might get sold. It might get developed.
And the water will be subsumed into the development.
But it's not sold.
No,
that water will still belong to the council, and it's maybe a bit pedantic saying that, but I think it's very important because the last time when there was talk of developing the Middle Bank,
will you tell you?
No, don't start, Rowan. Just give me a second just to get.
I'm listening to you. Keep going.
When there was a chance of developing the Middle Bank in the past, it came up. There was a for sale sign.
Yeah.
And it said for sale, Albert Basin.
Yeah. I know.
And people started writing into newspapers about they can't sell the basin. We need the basin. It's needed for boats. And so the basin is still going to be there for boats, no matter what happens with the land. But it would be a shame to see such an asset being lost.
Oh, yeah.
We do need some sort of public park. Personally, I thought that the city centre master plan was the best, really, where you get rid of the car park and the bus station and all that stuff right through the middle of the city. It's probably a better place for a park.
Yeah.
And as for linear park, we have the whole towpath.
Yeah,
16
linear
miles
paths,
of
we talked about it years ago with Enterprise Ulster. That was the pride. We had a linear park plan all those years ago. And I have to say that when the thing went belly up, when people were tendering for the development of the area down there, chief among them was Gerard O'Hare. And I did part of Gerard's plan. I went with him to America, to New York to interview David Leapskind, the architect of the Twin Tower replacement. And we had the most wonderful project which kept the basin as a water facility, access to the sea from the basin, and in the middle, a magnificent Leapskind designed conference centre which would have passed into the ownership of the people of Newry forever, in perpetuum. But no, it didn't. The council pulled the plug on it.
No, it didn't. Yeah. It didn't happen. But I mean, it would be a shame to see it getting as such sold for private development of some sort. You know?
A private developer who will simply cover in the basin.
Yeah. Oh no, the basin will not be. The basin will always be kept there. We'll make sure it is.
Oh yeah.
And lobby. But it's up to the ratepayers of this city. If they want to keep the Albert Basin in public ownership and make it into a public park, they have to lobby the councillors.
Oh yeah.
There's no point in sitting back and saying, "Oh, you know, we'll just leave it." No, get up off your backsides and ask the council and the new council and keep the pressure on the whole time.
Oh, because it's not going to happen accidentally.
And there was a meeting last night of the two councils coming together and what way they should take it. Oh, I had some fancy name up in Bagnall's Castle. There were only about 20 people turned up. That's how interested the ratepayers are in their future.
It was in my head to say that to you because I think people have become flaccid, intellectually flaccid. They sit around and they watch soap operas and they don't feel that they can't see beyond the remote control in their lives. Their whole life is governed by ordinariness. And it's an appalling situation. Now, it doesn't surprise me there are only 20 people there. You know, there was a thing held over in Ballabod House on racism. There were two people attended. Two attended, yes. People have become nonchalant about these things. They don't care, Peter.
No, they don't seem to. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
But maybe Charlie will come again, so to speak. Maybe it will happen again. No, what about the week ahead? What have you on?
Well, we're going up to lock number 2 today to try and remove a bit of the silt. This is a different method. It's not dredging. Yeah. Just to try and get the gates to move a bit and get it all loosened up, ready for digging whenever we get the new permit from the Locks Agency.
Locks Agency.
Because we're still waiting for that. We've had no communication since Tuesday from them. And then tomorrow we're out at Scarva, where we had the canoes on the canal there recently. but we want to start tidying up the weeds, and there's a tree falling down across that wind a couple of days, weeks ago. And
one of the things you could do, when Andrew sends you the link for this interview, which he will, you could actually send the Locks Agency the link to this interview, and you can say, this fellow needs to be watched, and look at the way how he stood up for you. Peter.
Well, the other thing we will be doing during the week is Steenson's Bridge. We're making a garden. There's a bit of old rough land up the side of the bridge, and we're terracing that, and so we have it started, basically started.
The things we do.
It is, you know,
I think it's great.
Yes,
I think it's great. It's great, all the things we do to keep ourselves happy in life. Peter, thanks for coming in.
No problem at all, Rowan. It's great to see you.
God bless you. It's always good to see you.
Yes.
Take care.
Always good to get the message over.
Oh, constantly. Little did I think I'd be doing this at 71 and on television to the world, for goodness sake. Some music, Andrew.
Banbridge District Council's Autumn Arts programme continues.